Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me this evening. This is the Steps Headed Podcast. I am Stephen B, and I am the host, the proprietor, the owner, and the one who does what I do when I do it, and I enjoy doing it so well, so I'm gonna keep doing it every week. Listen, I'm so glad you all took the opportunity to come and hang out with your boy. Really enjoying the time that we're spending together. Let me go back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those of you who are watching me on the playback, and good evening for those of you who are watching me live. Now, before we get into the show tonight, I do have to say I apologize for last week. I did not go live last week, but I have a good reason. I have a really good reason why I did not go live last week, which segues us into the opening segment of tonight's show. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But before we do that, normally this is the time of show where I would do the word of the day, excuse me, or the phrase of the day. But I'm going to change it up a little bit because I want us to be very prayerful for specifically for the city and for our state. We have been in a very intense time of unrest. We have been in a very intense time where we've been seeing an uptick in murders, senseless murders. There was a story earlier this week where a family, a mother and two daughters were killed by the brother. And then later on, the brother was killed in Arizona. Our hearts go out to that family. Our prayers go out to that family. There was another young man that was killed, I believe, on yesterday in the park or somewhere around Parham Bridges Park. Or that was some activity around that. Our prayers, our thoughts go out, excuse me, to that family. And so we just really want to take a minute and we want to focus. We want to be very, very prayerful because it's a lot going on, y'all. It's a lot going on. And so we just got to get it together. We got to get it together. So listen, love each other, love yourself, and live life on purpose. That's my message. That's my request, my cry, my prayer. Just live life on purpose and let's just love each other. I mean, listen. In back in the day in the 50s and 60s, they would run around saying make love, not war. Yeah, I hear you. Make love, not war. But we want to we just want to be mindful and we want to be very, very prayerful. All right. So that's my opening segment. So my word or my phrase of the day is pray and love. Everybody, just pray and love. Love and pray. So as we get into the next segment, if you hear a lot of rattling in the background, one of my broke best friends moved in with me, which is one of the reasons why I did not do a show on last week because we were getting ready for graduation. Oh, hold on. This is the sound effect she just did. This is the sound effect. And so this is what we want to do on the Step Set It podcast. We want to take a minute and we want to shout out all of the graduates for the class of 2024. So if you graduated from preschool to grad school, we want to celebrate you tonight on the Step Set It podcast. So listen, the phone lines are open. If you want to call in, if you got somebody you want to shout out, if you want to shout out yourself, if you want to just drop names in the chat, however you want to do it. But we want to celebrate our graduates from the class of 2024. Now, I'm going to be the first one to shout it out because my daughter, Cyan, graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi She has her bachelor's degree in theater. My daughter is, I'm sorry, she corrected me. The Bachelor of Arts degree in theater. My daughter is a thespian. With a TH. Thespian. Okay, I ain't being funny. I said what I said. I know what I said. Oh, thespian. 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 Or something like that. I'm close. All right. She in the kitchen cooking. And so we just want to shout it out. So listen, please take a moment. The phone lines are open. You all can call in. Or if you want to come online and be live, you can click the link. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. So you can click the link. You can come on live and you can shout out your graduates. Now, I'm going to leave the lines open for a few moments. We do have a story. We do have a letter that we're going to answer tonight. But again, listen, and this is one of the things, let me turn the music down a little bit. This is one of the things that we have to recognize about the class of 2024. This is probably one of the first classes that started in COVID. These were the classes that started during the COVID year. And so we know the class of 2020, COVID hit in 2020. And so we have some children who were born during COVID and they're graduating from pre-K. So big ups to those children. Where my applause? And then we have those who made it as freshmen who are graduating from high school. They were freshmen in 2020 and they are graduating from high school. Big ups to those graduates. And then we have those who were freshmen in college and now they are graduating from college. Big ups to those students. That's a major accomplishment. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to stop and take a minute on the Steps Edit podcast to shout out the graduates, the class of 2024. Now, I'm also going to shout out that this year, well, never mind, it's not about me. Even though it is my show, it's not about me. And so once again, if you want to come into the room, again, you can click on the link. If you want to come into the room and shout out your graduate, I just added the link to Snapchat. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on YouTube. But if you want to shout out your graduate, click the link, come on in the room, and let's shout them out. Because I am personally proud of the accomplishments that they've made. I am proud of the things that they've done, the things that they're doing. And so once again, we're going to get into the letter, but I don't want to rush this process. I think the letter is going to be important, but these children, these people, these young adults, like they did it, you guys. They made it. They did it. And so shout out to the amazing class of 2024. So another shout out to my 5-year-old best friend. His name is Declan. Declan is graduating from kindergarten. Shout out to Declan, my guy, my man. Declan is graduating from kindergarten. And if you ask Declan who is his best friend, Deck is going to tell you Stefan is my best friend. Absolutely he is. That's my guy. I love him. Me and his mom work together. And yeah, So we're excited. So congratulations. Once again, we shouting them all out. Kindergarten graduation, that's big. Because you was a baby during COVID. You was a COVID baby. And you have made it to kindergarten. Now you got a little while to go. But keep on pushing, keep on pressing. And so once again, shout out again. And if you have them, if you don't want to come online, just drop the names in the chat. And even when we get into the letter, if you have graduates, drop the names and we will shout them out. I do have another friend of mine. Her name is Angela. Her son, Ashton. Ashton graduated from kindergarten on today. So shout out to my little nephew, Ashton. He graduated from kindergarten. Declan graduated from kindergarten. Cyan graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi. And I'm sure we have some other graduates out there. Once again, I'm going to be shouting them out throughout the show. And so you all feel free to drop those names as we go on. But once again, class of 2024, this one is for you. We celebrate you. We appreciate all of your hard work, all of your efforts. Keep up the good work. So now, let's jump into tonight's letter. This letter is interesting. I had to ponder this letter a good bit. I had to ponder this one because this is one of those conversations that it's very intense, but you don't really talk about it. Saying, can you hand me a bottle of water, please? This is one of those conversations that is hard to have, but it's a lot of those. It's one of those topics where people suffer in silence. So here we go. Let's jump into the letter. It says, "Dear Steps Edit Podcast, I hope this message finds you well. I recently came across your show and have been impressed by the insightful advice and discussions you provide on various topics. I am reaching out to seek guidance on a personal matter that I am currently grappling with. I am writing to you for your advice on navigating life with an elderly parent who is ornery and emotionally closed off. My father has always been a private and reserved man, but as he has grown older, his behavior has become increasingly challenging. He often lashes out, refuses help, and is generally difficult to communicate with. This has been a source of great stress for me as I want to provide the best possible care and support for him in his older years. I am hopeful that your podcast can provide me with some practical advice, strategies, and insight on how to approach this situation with empathy, understanding, and patience. I am looking for ways to foster a better connection with my dad, improve our communication, and enhance his overall well being. Any guidance and resources you can provide on dealing with my father would be greatly appreciated. I am eager to learn from your expertise and the experiences shared on your podcast. Thank you for considering my request. I'm looking forward to hearing your insight on this topic. Sincerely, I love him, but he is getting on my nerves." Whew. This is a topic. This is a topic. Uh yeah, this is a topic. So thank you so much for entrusting me with this. Um I as I'm reading the letter, I hear you saying one thing.
Help me! Help me!
That's what I hear you saying.
Help me! Help me!
Well, you have come to the right spot. Step said. So you ask me, and everybody who follows the show, you know my tagline is, if you ask me, I'll tell you. And so let's get into it. So long story short, what you're asking for is you're asking for a way to manage or handle or process dealing with things with your elderly father. I'm going to do my very best to maintain my composure during this show because I miss my daddy. For those of you who know me, who've known me for a while, you know my father. He transitioned from life to eternity in 2019. I joke around about it because I say my daddy got out right before COVID. He knew something was going on, and he was like, "I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm finna take my batting ball and go home," and that's what he did. And so, I understand now. The other thing is, my mom is still here. I still have my mom. So grateful to have my mom. And under no circumstance am I saying my mom is ornery. I'm not saying my mom is emotionally unavailable. I'm not saying any of those things, but I do understand what it takes to be a caregiver. And I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to give you some things to think about, and these things don't necessarily apply strictly for those who are elderly. Um, these things that I'm going to talk about apply to just dealing with people in general. Sometimes some of the things that I'm going to hit tonight, these are things that we just need to do in general when it comes to people, not necessarily elderly people, not necessarily young people or children, not special needs. This is what we need to do to just deal with people. I thought I heard my phone ring. I heard something. Okay. 'Cause again, in the middle of the conversation, I'm shouting out graduates. So if a graduate's name pop up and I'm in the middle of a statement, I'm shouting out the graduates. So here we go. Let's talk about it. One of the first things that you have to consider when it comes to dealing with our elderly parents um, is priority one is you just got to be patient. Um, you have to be patient. A lot of times when it comes to dealing with, and I'm saying elderly parent because that's the letter, but this is people. You have to be patient. And a lot of times patience can be difficult because we there are certain things we just don't want to talk about or we don't want to deal with, and we have our own struggles and we have our own things that are going on in our lives. But this is what you got to look at. Your dad or mom or person had to be patient with you in your younger years. So now it is your turn, your time to be patient with them in their older years. Um, and that's priority one is going to take patience. In addition to taking patience, it's going to take grace. What grace is I'm going to not take the frustrations that I feel, even warranted or not. I'm not going to take those frustrations out on you. I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop. I'm going to listen. I'm going to think, and I'm going to remember that more than anything, this is my loved one. I love this person. And when it comes to love just kind of helps you manage things a lot differently. Love just kind of helps you process things very much so differently. Um, and I'm not talking about this superficial stuff that people talking about. I'm talking about this real unconditional love where it doesn't matter. Even if I don't like you, I still love you. Even if I'm upset with you, I still love you. Even if I'm angry with you, I still love you. I've seen a meme on Facebook where it's a man and a woman, and they're older couple, but it's a man and a woman. They're sitting on opposite ends of a park bench, and it starts raining, and they got their backs to each other, so you can tell that they're angry with each other. But the man is holding the umbrella over the lady to say, "Yeah, I'm." You can look at the picture, you can tell they mad at each other. But I'm mad, but I'm not gonna let you sit out here in this rain and get wet. And so that's where coming in with patience and being gracious. That's where that comes in. Second thing is just listen to them. As people get older, a lot of times I'm going to use the example. I'm going to use the situation with my dad. Um, as dad got older and he wasn't able to do things the way he normally would when he was in his prime, um, he still wanted to do things on his own. He still wanted to help out when help was needed. Um, if we needed to move something around the house, dad was still gonna try to figure out how he could help move it. And we would have to tell him, Dad, I got it. No, you're good. But a lot of times you just gotta listen to them. Sometimes the reason why elderly people become ornery is because they feel like they're not being heard. Watch this. Younger people get ornery because they feel like they're not being heard. Children get ornery because they feel like they're not being heard. We individuals, we get ornery when we feel like we're not being heard. The word ornery just means we get frustrated, we get agitated, we become that's how we get when we get, if we feel like something is going on in life and I can't catch a break, it's frustrating. It's like something gnawing at you, and it's an irritant. And so when you get irritated, you just kind of, it's not lashing out, but it's expressing, I'm irritated, I'm not good. And so sometimes we just need to take a minute and we just need to listen. Listen to what they're saying, listen to their feelings, listen to what they're expressing, even if the expression is negative. Because the other thing you have to do is you have to remember, you know, this is still my mama, this is still my daddy. And again, I'm saying this specifically in light of, I'm saying this in light of the topic. Uh, okay, I'm getting a phone call, but they're calling me on the wrong line, and I don't know if this person knows I'm on the air. I'm gonna have to just call. She may have forgotten that I got a podcast on Thursday night. Um. So, and if not, if you got a comment, then just put it in the chat and I'll see it. But yeah, so the first thing is you want to practice patience and grace. The second thing is you want to listen to them. Then you want to maintain open communication. You want to keep the lines of communication open. Um, Talk to them. Don't wait for them to have a frustrating moment. Let's just sit down and let's just talk. Part of that sitting down and talking is, let's look at, let's not deal with things when it gets intense. Let's sit down and have a cup of ice water or a glass of tea. Let's sit down and play checkers. Let's do something that they like to do to kind of keep them in a good space. One of the things that my mom likes to do, my mom likes to play Scrabble. Mom likes to do jigsaw puzzles. And so we've had some really good conversations just sitting down doing a jigsaw puzzle. Um, and you keep the conversation open. But the other part of that conversation is you have to keep the conversation open and honest. Okay. Um, you still want it to be respectful, but sometimes we have to communicate with them how what they are doing, how that makes us feel. That doesn't mean I have to become combative. That doesn't mean I have to become disrespectful. But sometimes, and again, this is not just with the elderly, this is people. I need to let you know how what you're doing makes me feel. Because if I don't tell you there's a problem with what you're doing, then you feel like what you're doing is okay. And so I need to have that open communication with you. I need to be open with you to say, hey, I don't really like the way you're talking to me right now. Let's, you know, let's bring it down a notch. Let's let's take it down. Let's bring it back. Let's rewind. What did I do to trigger this? Let's go back. Let's reanalyze this thing. The other thing you want to do is respect their autonomy. That just means respect their independence, respect that they are still adults. Respecting their autonomy does not mean just leave them out there to hurt themselves. Respecting their autonomy means I'm going to always remember that, and I'm gonna make this personal. Again, talking about my dad, regardless of the things that me and dad had going on, I always remembered that my dad was my dad. And so even though there were times that I had to kind of pull on his coattail or had to kind of, get him together, that's still my dad. And there were times when I knew dad wanted to be independent. And so I had to let him be independent. Now, sometimes that can come back and bite you in the butt. Uh, because there was one situation that I'll never forget. Um, Dad had just had hip surgery, and he was getting back to the point where he could move around and he could get around, doing things on his own. And Dad decided that he wanted to take a bath. Yes, shots fired. Dad decided he wanted to take a bath. And so dad was up in the bathroom, mom was down in the den. I had just come home from church, I believe it was, and I was getting ready to go I had a part-time job. I was getting ready to go to a part-time job. And the Saints were playing. Now y'all know me. Y'all know I'm a Saints fan. I love the Saints. Who that nation stand up, represent. Who that all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Black and gold to the Super Bowl. I'm saying all of it because that's what I am. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I just wanted to add that little segue. So at any rate, uh, I'm sitting there watching the game, and all of a sudden I hear dad call my name. Now I go, I'm looking for him. He's not in his room. He's not. I'm looking. So okay, maybe I didn't hear him. So come back. I heard him call me again. So I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm in the bathroom." Okay. Walk in the bathroom, and dad is in the tub.
Oh my God.
I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm talking about letting people have their autonomy. And so I walk in there and I say, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Well, I wanted to take a bath, but now I can't get out."
Oh my God.
I said, "Well, how you get in?" He said, "Well, I kind of climbed in, and then I climbed in like this, and then I just kind of sat down." And so I said, "Well, the same instructions that you used to get in, follow those instructions in reverse order."
Oh my God.
Yeah, that didn't quite work out. And so I had to go well, I had my work clothes on, but I had to go and change clothes and climb into the tub and help lift my daddy out the tub.
Oh my God.
So that's where giving them autonomy can come back to bite you. But at the same time, I couldn't just leave him in the tub. So I had to do something. So we had to get him out. And so that's what we did. And so that's what you want to give them. You want to remember that these are still adults. They're older adults. They may be a little more frail. They may be a little more sensitive, but they are still adults. And so you don't want to necessarily get them back to the place where you are treating your adult person like children. You want to always remember that. You want to always remember that they are these are your people. So one of the questions that showed up is, how many times did he lift you out of the tub? That's a great question. But I promise you, when he had to lift me out of the tub, I was not as heavy as he was when I had to lift him out of the tub. But this was one of those statements where he was not heavy. Well, you know how people make statement all the time, he not heavy, he my brother. And I could say he not heavy, he my daddy. No, he my daddy, but he was heavy. He was heavy. But
Oh my God.
I got him out. And so that's how that worked out for me. All right. Next thing, you want to make sure you're offering assistance. So this goes back to the same thing of giving them autonomy, but you want to make sure that you're offering some assistance. You want to, if they need help, help them. Um, don't be overbearing. Don't be, too much. Again, don't treat them like children. But sometimes they are saying,
Help me. Help me.
and so when they say it, you got to give them some help. When they need help, help them. But don't don't be overbearing. And then when you do have to offer help, don't be mad. Don't be mad. Just help them. Now, this is gonna be the big one. This is gonna be the big one right here because a lot of times we don't make the best of decisions when it comes to those people who we love and care for so dearly. But this is a major one right here. If you need help, get some help. It is nothing wrong with trying to get yourself or your loved one to a professional, a healthcare professional, a mental health professional, an emotional professional, a spiritual professional. If you need some help, get some help. Because one of the worst things you can do is try to manage a situation on your own, knowing that it is way outside of your wheelhouse. And there is nothing wrong with asking for help. There is absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help. If you need help, get some help, please. Because when you start trying to do things on your own and you get outside of your area of expertise, you end up doing more damage than good. You end up doing more harm than good. I'm a computer guy. I'm pretty good at computers. And so I have a lot of friends who, when they're having issues with their computers, they'll call me. They'll call me because they know that's my wheelhouse. I do have those friends who will call me when it's a little too late, or they decided they wanted to Google something and they saw a, a, a program that they wanted to run that was going to fix the problem that they had. And now they've created more of a problem when they call me. Don't seek the professionals after you just completely messed it up. Call the professionals when you know you need help. When you know you need help, get a professional and get some help. Okay? That's for your loved one. That's for your child. That's for yourself. That's for your friends. If you need help, get some help. And then the last one is you always want to make sure that you're practicing self care. Self care is not selfish. There is a reason why when you're on an airplane, they tell you in the event of a loss of cabin pressure, if the face mask drop down, put your mask on first before you put somebody else's mask on. That's called self care. Because if I am taking care of you and I'm not taking care of me, then at some point I'm going to collapse. And if I collapse, then ain't nobody going to take care of you or me. And so I got to put my mask on first. And sometimes putting my mask on first means right now I can't have this conversation. I'm not in a good place to have this conversation. And so that's when you call in the help of the siblings or the village, as they're called, or somebody. Get you some help and take a minute for yourself. Dealing with dealing with as a caregiver, it can be emotionally draining. I remember having a conversation with a very, very close friend of mine after her mom died. And we were sitting there talking. And I asked her, I said, "How you doing?" She said, I'm doing all right." And I told her, I said, I get it. You can be honest with me. You don't have to put the mask on. You don't have to put the airs on. I said, "How do you feel?" And she said, "Steph, I'm gonna be honest." She said, "My heart is broken that my mama is gone, but it's a sense of relief because my siblings didn't understand everything that I had to go through in taking care of mama these last days. The times where," she said, "the night after mama passed, I was able to sleep all night without interruption." Um, and I'm gonna do a sound effect or something here in a minute because I don't want this to be doom and gloom. Um, but a lot of times when you're dealing with caring for someone, it weighs really, really heavy on you. When you're dealing with caring for a loved one, it is very, very emotionally draining. It can be physically draining. It can be financially draining. And so you want to practice self-care because you've got to make sure that you're in a good space that you can take care of your loved one, be it parent, be it child, be it friend, be it, whomever it is. You want to make sure that you're in a good place that you can take care of them when you need to take care of them. And so you've got to take care of you. One of the things that I said on a podcast on this podcast a few weeks ago is you got to protect your peace. Um, Going back to the caller and talking about how your dad was, as he has gotten older, he has become more ornery and he's become more emotionally detached. A lot of times that comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of frustration. I can't do what I used to do. I can't move like I used to move, and that can be frustrating. I can't function the way I used to function. I got people who are now taking care of me, whereas before I was taking care of people. I was the one who was providing the care. Now I'm the one who has to be cared for. And so, that's difficult a lot of times for people as they get older to realize that I remember having conversations with my dad where he would say, "I got more birthdays behind me than I got ahead of me." And I would always be like, "Man, come on, you gonna live forever." Yeah, but he didn't. He knew that he was coming to the end of his time. And so, the last thing that I wanted to say to my cop to my writer is make sure you cherish the times that you have. Good, bad, or indifferent. I can't say all of my times with my dad were the best, but I would give my left arm to have a conversation with my dad again. I can't say all of my times with him were on the high level. Yeah, we had our disagreements. We had our bumps in the road. We had our little hiccups. But that was my man. That was my guy. And I would give everything just to have a conversation with him again, just to hear his voice again, just to walk in the house and we greet each other the way we greeted each other. And so, yeah, as our parents get older and as they start to process the way they process and all of that, listen, love them and embrace them and cherish the moments with them. Cherish the moment. Do what you got to do to take care of yourself. Do what you got to do. If you need to get help, get help. If they need to go to a facility to take care of them, because again, you may have mental things that may be going on. You may be dealing with a parent who has dementia. You may be dealing with a parent who's dealing with Alzheimer's. You may be dealing with a parent who is dealing with any other type of neurological issue that could be affecting who they were as a person 30 years ago. Um, I had the same person that I sat down and she was telling me how, her mom passing was a relief. I knew her mom, loved her mom. And the woman that she was when she was younger, in her earlier years, as she got older, she developed Alzheimer's. And in developing Alzheimer's, she became mean. And yes, it was hard to see her like that. But I always remembered who she was. I always remembered the hugs and the kisses and the conversations that we had. And that just made it easier to process. It just made it easier. Um, am I saying that you have to sit there and be abused by your loved one? No. But you gotta remember you you gotta work through it and just appreciate the time. And when you have those good moments, embrace those good moments and remember those good moments and cherish those good moments. And those not so good moments, listen, the good outweighs the bad. Make the good outweigh the bad. And even if the bad times are more, make the good times greater. You may have more bad times, but make the good times greater, meaning make those good times stand out in your mind more than the bad times. And that is our show for tonight. And so I hope my writer is listening in. I hope I said something that provided some insight. I hope I said something that provided some form of help, assistance to just kind of help you process handling life with your elderly loved one. Again, all I can tell you is love on them, keep them, embrace them, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. So that's our show for tonight. I do want you to please take a moment and visit our website, www.stepsedit.com. There you can look at all of our old shows, past shows. You can look at everything that we've done and everything that we're doing, everything that's coming up. Also, I do ask that you consider becoming a Step Set It partner. I do want to get some swag and get some things. I want to be able to give y'all some wristbands or some bracelets or some t-shirts or a cap or something. And so if that's something that you would like to have, again, I ask that you consider becoming a Step Set It partner. Additionally, you can go on to the website, check us out. That's where all of the information and all the details are. You can log in at 3 levels. Level 1, 2, and 3, $5, $25, $225. And all of that information is listed there on the website. Also, like, follow, subscribe, share. We are Step Set It across all platforms. Please go and check us out on all social media platforms. This has been the Step Set It podcast. I am so glad you all took the time to come and hang out with your boy on tonight. It has been a pleasure. We are 13 weeks strong and we are still riding it out. So you all keep watching, keep listening, keep hanging out with me. And if anybody asks you where you get your information from, you know what to tell them. Step Set It. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all have a good night. Love you.